When you look at going out to make a trade, are you more likely to be aggressive in that sense and pursue that when your team you feel like is underperforming, or when you feel like they're on the cusp and you're trying to push them over the edge?
Both. I would really extend to improve our team right now. So that gives you an idea, because I think we have a team that's a contender. So I would do it right now. Would I do something that would take away from this team so that it could help us in the future? Probably not.
Now, I know in the first clip that you just heard, it very much so sounds like Jerry is definitely not looking to make any moves to the roster. He's happy with his team, and he feels like they've done enough already and they have what they need in order to be successful this year. But if you actually listen to some of the layers of the questions that they asked and some of his different answers that he gave, and actually pick apart how and the verbiage that he used and the language that he used when answering these questions, then you would hear something very specific. Listen one more time.
I think we have a team that's a contender. So I would do it right now. Would I do something that would take away from this team so that it could help us in the future? Probably not.
Now, I don't know if you heard it, but what that sounds like to me is that Jerry may be going about this the same way he went about getting Trey Lance on the roster just earlier this year. Remember, it's not like the Cowboys went out of their way to call the 49ers and try to make a trade for Trey Lance. As reported, the story went something like the 49ers called the Cowboys. They didn't have time to discuss the situation or discuss the trade, and they felt like the value was there, so they took the trade. I think what Jerry actually was saying on today's radio interview was he's kind of in that type of mode, and the Cowboys are playing it from that position for a reason, business-wise. All right, fans, just give me a second here. Let me cook. I know a lot of people wanted to hear Jerry say, yes, we're going to be buyers. Yes, we're going to try to be aggressive on the trade deadline. But for one, that goes against the old marketing trope that you never, ever usually want to go against, and that is always under-promise, over-deliver. Do not over-promise and under-deliver. And him going on the radio and being like, yes, we're going to be aggressive for this trade deadline, and then absolutely nothing happening would be a huge under-deliver on an over-promise. So I think that you have to remember, Jerry Jones is a businessman before anything else, and he understands business and business tactics. And one of the business tactics that is most used in these types of situations is you don't want to look like the thirsty chick. You don't want to look like that girl that's desperate for a prom date, because at that point you may just get the worst possible suitor that has some bad intentions and may try to screw you over, right? You don't want anybody coming to the Cowboys thinking that they're desperate to make a move and trying to pull the wool over their eyes and asking for first and second round tenders for players that are nowhere near that value. That is what you don't want to happen. What it sounds like to me, personally, just based off of what Jerry said, is if one of these teams were to call, if Tennessee were to call the Cowboys and ask them, hey, y'all looking for a running back? Y'all want Derrick Henry? It sounds like the Cowboys would be in more of a position, if it makes sense for the team, and the caller isn't trying to destroy their future prospects of building their team, meaning they're not trying to empty out the cabinet of future draft picks or young players that the Cowboys may really like, then they are definitely willing to play ball. He wants fair value in any trade that he takes part in. If the value isn't there, the Joneses aren't going to do it. Now, what does value mean to them, given that they traded away Amari Cooper for a bag of chips? I'm not quite sure. But this definitely does not mean that the Cowboys are not in the market for trades. I saw a lot of people earlier on Twitter kind of down and dejected because it seems like a lot of people seen a clip from this interview, or they saw an excerpt from the interview, and they pretty much took it as Jerry saying, hey, we're going to stand pat. We're not going to try to improve the roster But that's not what I heard at all. It sounds like Jerry has full belief that not only is the roster going to get better at some point, which I'm thinking that he believes that some of the younger players are going to get more involved with the team. Mozzie Smith still hasn't really been used to his full first-round value as far as just snaps and opportunity goes, right? Obviously, the production isn't all the way there yet. He's not as bad as people think he is, but Mozzie Smith still has a lot of meat left on the bone. We have Marquise Bell. He was an absolute gap-filling run stopper in the last game, and I think he's just going to get better and better the more he plays the position as like a hybrid linebacker. We have Jalen Tolbert as a wide receiver waiting in the wings that could possibly come in and be a big impact in our passing game. And then obviously we have the young tight ends as well that they're hoping come along at some point. But from what I heard throughout this interview, it seems like Jerry is probably as in touch with reality as I've heard him be in the past few years, as he understands that the Cowboys do have work to do. He understands that the Cowboys may not be on the level of someone like the 49ers right now, and he didn't really want to give an opinion about the Eagles because we haven't played them yet. But it 100% sounds like to me they are open for business. It just sounds like they're trying to take more of a passive approach to this because they don't want to mortgage the team's future in return for trying to make a run in just this year, or they didn't want to do anything that's going to compromise the long-term viability of the Cowboys and their ability to kind of move around. Because you have to remember, guys, and this is a big part of this, the only picks we have left this year are our first, second, third, and our sixth and seventh, I believe. I think we had to trade one of those picks, I think maybe the fourth, to get Trey Lance. And I believe we also had to trade some other picks to get Gillian and Cooks on our team as well. So it's not like we have our full repertoire of picks to work with. We wouldn't have had that fourth and fifth to trade to get someone like a Kevin Byard. We didn't have those picks available, right? So I think that's what Jerry is speaking to, and more so the situation that we're in right now. And if you look at it in its totality, the Cowboys won the offseason. They made probably some of the biggest splashes in the offseason, adding former Pro Bowl cornerback and receiver by way of Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks respectively. And I think at this point, they're just trying to take more of a passive approach without trying to gut their team too much to make right now moves for short-term loans on players, essentially, right? So I think that's more so how I took the interview. You guys let me know down in the comments below, how did you take the interview? What areas of need do you think the Cowboys have right now? And how do you see the rest of the season playing out? Let me know all that stuff down in the comments below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Dak Attack Show, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the videos, and be sure to hit that notification bell. As always, you guys know how we end these videos. How about them Cowboys? Take it away, Pastor.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.